The following video will be some of the most compelling footage ever committed to film to support the theory that I am on the autism spectrum. And luckily for you, and unluckily for me, there will likely be 3 of its kind. Hello, I'm Maudlin, and today I'm here to compete with a one Mr. Dave Porter for future employment. I'd like to walk you through my playlist entitled The Gilliverse. This refers to one of my favorite narrative universes that found in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, as well as the Netflix special El Camino. I have watched Breaking Bad 6 times, and I have watched Better Call Saul thrice, so they will be the primary focuses of my playlist. And what on earth is this playlist, you might ask? Well, it's 11 hours long. It's chock full of country western, psychedelic cumbia, golden oldies, ranchera, vallenato, afrobeat, Obama-era hip-hop and reggaeton, dance music, and so much more. And it features songs that I think would be spectacular on the aforementioned American television programs Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. These shows were and remain in a class of their own in terms of storytelling, and more importantly to this video, in terms of storytelling using non-diegetic music or a soundtrack that accompanies the events unfolding on screen, but does not usually exist as something the characters in the story can hear. In other words, the music in this show is for the benefit of the audience almost exclusively. Before seeing these shows, I had never really seen music be harnessed for storytelling in this way that I found incredibly compelling. Vince Gilligan, the creator of these projects, is famous for using iconic montage sequences that are accompanied by songs that Dave Porter presumably handpicked. You know what I'm talking about. Drug dealing montages, drug making montages, drug doing montages, money counting montages, and then these sort of day in the life sequences of different characters in the story. Like a long sequence of what Mike Ehrmantraut is up to, and the sequence of what Wendy, the sex worker, and Jesse's informant is up to on a given day. And these montages can last for upwards of 2 minutes. And I've just never seen a whole lot of space given to music in the midst of a narrative, and I just think it's one of the most powerful aspects of both of these shows, and I love it dearly. I wanted to make a playlist commemorating what I think would be a spectacular sort of like montage couple of sequences, using music that I really like and using music that I think would really suit the narrative devices of these shows. So let me just quickly address a few things before I launch into this passionate fan-made musical magic. One, am I still a fashion YouTuber? Yes and no. Fashion is my bread and butter, of course, but this is my party and I'll cry if I want to. If you're not into this topic, no worries. I'm about to drop a lookbook. It'll be coming out very soon, so stay tuned for that. 2, will there be spoilers for these shows ahead? And I would say yes. I'm not gonna really like blab the huge secrets. I'm more thinking of a huge secret in Better Call Saul that I won't be talking about. But I do kind of like go into detail of certain events on the show and why they kind of complement songs that are on my playlist. So I'm gonna be blabbing a little bit about these shows. So if you're not done with either Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad, if you haven't seen El Camino yet, that's okay. I don't really go into it in that big detail. But if you hate spoilers, I would say save these videos for later when you're completely done with both series. But my playlist is still fair game, and you can listen to it and just not know the context for these songs I picked. Perfectly fine. The link for the playlist will be in the description below. And number 3, will you hear any of these songs as I'm talking about them in this video? No, because YouTube is really weird about copyright, and I don't want to get in trouble. So I will try to make talking about these songs as compelling and interesting as I can, but if you have to like run over to my playlist and like find each song and listen to it as you're watching this, go right ahead. So without further ado, walk with me. I'm gonna start out with something a little bit easy to wrap one's mind around. I put If You Go Away by Neil Diamond on this playlist. I was thinking in my head of, you know, maybe like Walt and Jesse losing track of their drugs, getting really depressed. This is kind of like a mournful, disgusting, smarmy song. If you go away on this summer day, then you might as well take the sun away sort of vibes. I kind of felt like it would be a similarly like ironic and kind of stomach-turning backdrop as Take My True Love by the Hand by the Limelighters in this particular sequence in Breaking Bad where Walt is like rolling a barrel of money through the desert. He's taking his true love by the hand. I mean, there's just sort of like this cheeky ironic narrative accompaniment through the use of these songs, and I thought If You Go Away by Neil Diamond would be perfect for like Jesse dropping the blue meth down a storm drain and like looking at it longingly or something. Next up, I put Don't Blow Your Cool by the Caravels on this playlist. I love this song. It's just like this very serene mid-60s bop. Essentially a song about not getting mad, not taking things too seriously, but I thought it would be a perfect kind of like ironic pairing to a montage of Walt or Saul going apeshit, kicking things, like tearing up a house to ransack it or something along those lines. You know, it just kind of struck me as like a Dave Porter-esque kind of ironic accompaniment to something very stressful happening on screen. Crushin' by Jay Dilla is on there, but the instrumental version, because I think it would be really funny to see Jimmy McGill in Better Call Saul dressed up in a really like weird outfit, walking down the street funkily. If you know Crushin' by Jay Dilla, the instrumental, then you know what I'm talking about. The whole song kind of sounds like a roller disco guy falling down and scraping his kneecaps. There's a lot of you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a terrific song, and seeing Bob Odenkirk strut around like a peacock to it would delight me personally. Next up is Blue Song by Mint Royale. Just a quick little tidbit about this song is it actually inspired the movie Baby Driver. If you know, you know. The music video was directed by Edgar Wright, and he went on to write and direct Baby Driver, loosely kind of based on the premise of this music video. And while the music video focuses on a stationary car during a bank robbery, I think this song is perfect for some kind of triumphant scene where Jesse and Walt are driving away from some harrowing experience in the New Mexico desert. This song, to me, is inextricably linked to the vibe of driving away somewhere fast and leaving your troubles in the rearview mirror. So I feel like it's perfect for this series because that happens a lot. Then we've got Funeral by Telenovela. I tried to stick with songs that were mostly pre-2008, just given that that's the time period of these events. But this song is pretty new, but it just seemed kind of perfect for Kim and Jimmy's relationship. It's kind of like this mournful, lonesome cowgirl kind of song that I think would be perfect to show Jim and Kimmy like on the outs or kind of in a rift in their relationship. The lyrics are really tug at your heartstrings, and it's just kind of got that Western vibe that I think is so perfect for this show. Okay, this is a deep cut, but Dog Door by Sparkle Horse. I feel like if they ever had Jesse or Walt on Breaking Bad breaking into a house and having to like crawl through a dog door, this song would be perfect. Most of the lyrics are literally, she's got me coming through the dog door. And I think like having this song play while Walt's stupid bald head breached the rectangle of like a Rottweiler-sized hole in someone's door, I just think it would be beautiful. They put Walt into a lot of really compromising, uncomfortable positions in Breaking Bad, and it kind of works really well because he's such a because as a character he becomes so full of himself, and yet here he is crawling through a dog door because that's what he does. He's just scum of the earth. I just love how they tend to put Walt through hell and back because that's where he's gonna end up. Then I selected He Needs Me by the A's. This is a Kim and Jimmy song if I ever heard one. You've heard the Shelley Duvall version of He Needs Me, but this is by the duo The A's, and this song is an even more haunting and unhinged version of He Needs Me. So if you can imagine that, that's kind of where Kim and Jimmy end up in certain parts of Better Call Saul, where he really does need her in a lot of ways. They matched each other's freak so hard that it's alarming. If you know, you know. Next, I decided to come up with Hard Time Killin' Floor Blues by Skip James. This is a really cool blues standard. I think it would be a brutal soundtrack choice for a gruesome murder cleanup kind of montage. The song is about Skip James' experience working in a slaughterhouse and just how desperate you have to be to get your hands dirty with another creature's blood and kind of like have this really gruesome job. Some of the lyrics in the song I think would be just really haunting, like watching Jesse and Walt scrub blood as they do in Breaking Bad a lot. If I ever get off this killin' floor, I'll never get down this low no more. I'll never get down this low no more. And you say you had money, you better be sure, because these hard times will drive you from door to door. And Skip James just has like this incredibly mournful voice that I think would just like kill you if you were listening to it while you're watching two human beings clean up the bodies of another two human beings. I just think it would be really powerful. Bless the Telephone by Labi Siffre. I think this is a Kim and Jimmy song for sure. There's a period in Better Call Saul where Jimmy's trying to fit into this corporate lawyer role that he kind of stumbles into. There's a scene where this mug that Kim gave him that says World's Best Lawyer won't fit into the cup holder of this company car. And it's just kind of like this indicator that he's like really disconnected from Kim and disconnected from his past and beginnings during this period. And I think this song would be just like an amazing backdrop for him, like getting a really nice call from Kim at the end of a really hard work day. It's just such a sweet, earnest song about how nice it is to hear someone's voice who you love on the other end of a telephone. Kim and Jimmy call each other a lot, and it clearly means so much to both of them, you know? Yet another Kim and Jimmy song. I'm sorry, I swear to God, I'm so normal about them, but My Baby's Taken Me Home by Sparks. This is a song that has one line as most of its lyrics, My Baby's Taken Me Home. It's such a sweet kind of boiled down essence of how it feels to love someone and the relief of like going home with them at the end of a hard day. It's a very triumphant song. It's a weirdly sad song. I think it's one of the best songs ever written, just in terms of its cleverness and just the simplicity and also complexity of it, of just like, thank God, my baby's taking me home. It's a Kim and Jimmy song, if I've ever heard one. There's this song called That Little Boy of Mine by Homer and Jethro. It's a kind of strange, jangly country western song about this man and his adult son who's like a druggy hippie burnout freak. I think this would make a great soundtrack to a montage of Walt being exasperated by Jesse's asinine antics in the New Mexico desert. The writers sort of try to subtly establish this kind of twisted father-son relationship between Walt and Jesse. And this song would kind of make that connection more obvious, but it would be so funny to me because the lyrics are all about this man talking about his son, this little boy of mine, and he's 200 pounds, getting out of jail next week, and he's high on LSD all the time. I just think it would be like this perfect accompaniment to Walt having this paternal relationship with Jesse, but like still having this like intense level of disgust and despair that he doesn't have with his own son. They have a very weird relationship. Are You Afraid to Die by the Louvin Brothers. This is a sinister Christian country song. And I think it would be an incredibly unsettling backdrop to have Walt have a near-death moment. There's a lyric that goes, "Tell me, sinner, did you ever stop to think? Are you afraid to die?" And Walt has a lot of near-death experiences over the course of Breaking Bad, and sinning is pretty much all he does. Walt is sort of afraid to die, he's afraid to live. He has a really complicated relationship with his mortality and his morality. And that's kind of why I think this particular kind of creepy song about someone wicked being afraid to die and how you're going to have to face death, and in the context of the song, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and what are you going to do then? So I really love this song. I think if not for this particular instance in Breaking Bad, it'd be perfect for a different show. Yes, I'm basically like putting in my bid to have Dave Porter's job down the line. This is my resume, if you can't tell. Dave Porter, I'm coming for you, watch out. Next up we have Mal Hombre by Lydia Mendoza. This is a song about a bad man. Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, there's kind of nothing but mal hombres. So I think this would be just an incredible sort of like, it's sung by a woman, you know, she's kind of singing about her bad man, so I think it would be kind of perfect for Skylar, who's just sort of constantly confronted by the reality that she married a really, really bad dude. So I just think that would be perfect for that. Eso Eso by Los TNT. This is a Spanish language swing song that was sung by an Italian group who decided to move to Uruguay and sing Spanish language songs. It reminds me so much of this like Italian old-timey song that Gail Bedecker starts singing along with in his apartment that we see when we see his apartment for the first time. El Millonario by Very Be Careful. This has got to be one of my favorite vallenato and cumbia bands, and it would just be an amazing money counting montage, just in terms of like all of that money being put through a counter, money being stacked. I mean, it's just like a perfect backdrop to just how money is a character, more or less, on both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Lastly, I'm gonna leave you with something kind of to digest and think about. Pretty much every single Meridian Brothers song would be an amazing backdrop for some scenes in Mexico and the cartel kind of doing this clandestine business that they often do. I really like the multicultural aspect of these shows and the multilingual soundtrack. Whenever the characters from Mexico, like Don Eladio or Hector Salamanca, or Chile, like Gus Fring, or even the first generation Americans like Tuco, on screen, they have this kind of like element of magical realism that quickly becomes apparent on the show, and it's one of my favorite things about the Gilliverse, is this kind of like thread of magical realism traveling through each episode. If you don't know, magical realism is a genre of literature that started, I think, ultimately in Colombia in the 20th century. Gabriel Garcia Marquez was kind of the most famous example. Magical realism kind of spread throughout Latin America, and just really flourished during this time period. Scholars kind of look back on the birth of magical realism as a response to the drug trade that was going on during this time as well. When you remember that there's an invasive population of hippopotamuses in Colombia now, that's a really big problem, actually. And it started with Pablo Escobar's menagerie of animals that escaped and established populations in the midst of this Colombian forest. So there is like a statistically significant population of hippopotamuses in Colombia that have direct ties to Pablo Escobar and the drug trade. So you can kind of see how like wealth and power blossoming due to the drug trade would lend way to kind of like a surreal day-to-day history that would really inspire brilliant writers in Latin America. So back to Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, there's sort of magical realism that's really tangible over the course of the show. A lot of really incredible and bizarre things happen, always tied to this atmosphere of crime and deception and drugs and death. All this to say that the surrealist cumbia of this Colombian duo, the Meridian Brothers, would complement the like bizarre, terrifying, wild, wonderful things that happen on the show very well. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul give us these like really amazing, almost magical visuals. Anyway, I just wanted to capture that magical realism with my playlist, more or less, and that's kind of why I chose a lot of really interesting and diverse groups and songs to put on the playlist, just to kind of like speak to how unique and strange each of these shows are. Anyway, like I said, The playlist link is in my description. If you're still interested in what music I chose on the playlist and sort of what goes on in my head when I'm imagining how these songs will be utilized in the context of the show, then I have like 2 or so more videos about this subject up my sleeve that I'll just drop at some point. I also wanted to say that I do custom Spotify playlists that are tailored to your specifications. If you're curious about that, DM me on Instagram. I have a couple of videos about this particular process as well, if you're curious. Yeah, I really had so much fun making this playlist. I think my musical taste is kind of like songs that I think would be perfect for soundtracks. Weirdly, that's kind of like the best way I can sum up my music taste in general. If you made it this far, I bet you have a song that you think would be amazing on Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, and I want to hear it in the comments. Don't be shy, I love to brainstorm, and until next time, bye!